In Dragon Ball Z Movie 9, audiences were introduced to Bojack, a dreaded space pirate who terrorized the galaxy. Bojack was sealed away by the four Kais. However, after Goku brought Cell to King Kai's planet and it was destroyed, Bojack was unleashed and went to the Earth to defeat Goku, only to face off with his friends instead. After defeating most of them, Bojack would go on to be destroyed by Goku's son Gohan. With that, Bojack faded from the franchise, only briefly appearing in extra materials. But did Bojack live up to his full potential? What if Bojack was given another chance and rebooted like Broly in Dragon Ball Super? Should this happen, and how would he be used? Well, in this video, we're going to discuss that. Make sure to subscribe to this channel and enable notifications so you can see all of my content right away when it comes out. Okay guys, so joining me in this video is someone you've seen on my channel in the past, and his name is...
Hey guys, what's up? It's Josh from Dragon Ball Nation here.
Okay Josh, so last time on this series we talked about whether or not Cooler should have been rebooted in Dragon Ball Super, and you could check out the video right here as well as in the end screen and description. So in this video, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be discussing whether or not another Dragon Ball Z movie villain should be rebooted, with that being Bojack. So much like last time, we're going to break this down into categories to really go over how this reboot could work and if it should even happen in the first place. Number one, we're going to start with how we feel about the original Bojack character from Dragon Ball Z. Number two, we're going to discuss whether or not he should be rebooted. And number three, we're going to discuss how he would be rebooted and things such as how strong he could become within the course of this story. So let's first start off with number one, in which we're going to be discussing, Josh, how we feel about the original Bojack characters. So, how do you feel about Bojack and his original movie in Dragon Ball Z?
Well, for me, this is a little interesting because I have always actually liked the Bojack film quite a bit. One of my favorite Dragon Ball films. Just, you know, all the stuff in it with Gohan and that little tournament in the beginning. And I think the whole design of the Bojack crew is pretty cool. And there's that little bit of backstory on how, you know, he escaped and all that little origin story there. Beyond that, I guess there's not a whole lot else. But Bojack, for me as a character, it's funny, and I know you're not going to understand because you don't play it, but anyone out there that plays Dokkan Battle, there's a really, really good Bojack card in Dokkan, and I think when that came out, it was kind of like Kid Buu. The same thing happened is I kind of liked Kid Buu more after he had a really good card in that game, because, you know, you'd use him a lot of times, so you'd see the character all the time, right? So obviously you're going to be, I guess, slightly more attached is what I would say. So with Bojack, it was the same thing, even though I never got him. But Bojack, I guess, you know, he kind of was a bit bland in the film. It's kind of like Broly. Broly really did need a reboot, and we'll get into this, but Bojack, I feel like they could have done a lot more with him than what he did. The fight scenes were awesome, and, you know, the whole Hera clan was cool, but, you know, there wasn't a whole lot of meat and potatoes to it.
Yeah, Bojack overall, I feel like is the weakest link of his own movie, which is kind of funny when you think about it. You know, you have Gohan basically in the prime of him being the main character of the story, right after the Cell games. You have a great cast of future Trunks, Tien, Piccolo, Krillin, and of course Vegeta. And Bojack does have a really interesting concept of this basic space pirate who went around the galaxy kind of causing terror and was forced into a sort of prison by the Kais of the universe. So the North, the South, the East, and the West Kais. They somehow were able to trap him. Not entirely sure why. They don't really elaborate too much on that. But him showing up and fighting Gohan and trying to get revenge upon Goku, I always thought was kind of odd because, again, Goku did free this guy from his imprisonment, essentially, so why would he want to get revenge upon him? But nonetheless, I think that he's a character who definitely could have been done better, and definitely has a chance to be done better, which leads into the next part that we're going to be discussing, which is, should Bojack be rebooted? And it might be a little bit obvious in this regard, Josh, but what do you think? Do you think he actually should get a reboot?
I think so, because yeah, he was just an undercooked villain. Just his development as a character, I mean, I guess there really wasn't any, which again goes for a lot of these villains and a lot of these films. He's someone that just the concept of him was cool, like you just said. That origin of why he was imprisoned, you know, he's a space pirate. I mean, when is that ever not cool? But I think as a movie, probably for him would probably be better. I don't know if you would want to do a whole arc with him, but we can talk about that later. But yeah, and I mean, obviously bring the whole Hera clan in, maybe have a couple new additions and stuff like that. I definitely think it would be beneficial to reboot. You know, are they gonna? I don't know, because they're not gonna reboot every single villain just because Broly got it, but those are my basic thoughts.
Yeah, this video series isn't necessarily to say that every villain should be rebooted. We're more talking about some of the villains from the past who either had a lot of potential or weren't really done as well as they could have been, with Bojack I feel like being a really great prime example of that. And like you said, whether it would work better as a movie or an arc, I feel like if they were to do an arc, they would definitely have to expand upon Bojack and his crew, and they would have to develop way more than just the Bojack character, who in the original movie was already kind of lacking development as it was, or wasn't truly that compelling. So I think it would be a really interesting idea to reboot him, although I'm typically in the camp of somebody who wants to see new ideas and new concepts implemented in Dragon Ball, as well as of course new characters. And there is a character in the Dragon Ball Super manga right now of Moro, who is a character who was sealed away by the gods millions of years ago and has returned, so it's kind of similar in that aspect. However, when it comes to how they would use Bojack, what do you think about his actual use, maybe his motivations, what he's really trying to do, his power, and how he could be utilized if he were to be rebooted, like we're discussing now?
You know what? It's interesting because they could do almost not really similar to Zamasu, but yes, because what I would like to see is if he's going to get revenge against the gods, then it could be all about Goku and the gang, obviously trying to stop Bojack and his crew. Maybe his crew split up and, you know, we'll see other members of the Z Fighters like go off and do their own thing to stop a member of the crew trying to kill a god or something. Of course, this is why I think it'd probably work better as a film too, because this would be a little tricky to stretch out into a saga or, you know, an arc without making it feel too bloated or maybe even rushed. This would work better as a film because I'd like to see Bojack and his crew hunting down the gods that imprisoned him instead of trying to get revenge on Goku, which is how it was in the original. And, you know, maybe his crew with maybe some new additions, hopefully they'd have new additions into the crew, would be off maybe killing one Kai, and then we'd have a couple of Z Fighters going out to stop them. You know, everyone would be like splitting up almost in a way. And we could see certain characters, like obviously probably either Krillin and 18 will be doing their own thing, tracking one of them down. You see what I mean? You'd split up the Z Fighters so everyone could stop them all without, I guess, any of the Kais dying. That's kind of the story I'd like to see in terms of a concept.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good idea, and I've always wanted to see like a villain or a team of villains show up and kind of force our heroes to disperse. And I think it'd be really interesting if these are more like cerebral villains as well, you know, like maybe they fight in the middle of a city and they lure the Z Fighters there so that they don't have to hold back, but our heroes who don't want to cause, you know, collateral damage, they have to. And maybe Bojack's team, like in the original movie, they have special abilities which allow them to overcome strength disparities, because obviously at this point in the story, Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, and many of the humans even would be able to destroy some incredibly powerful fighters. So if they had some kind of like key equalization abilities, those tripwire kind of abilities that they had in binding spells, I think that'd be really cool. And one thing I would like to see if they go with the arc format is that I think it would be interesting if they turn this into like a tragic story with Bojack's crew. You know, maybe do something along the lines of like what they did in Twilight Princess, where this group of people are like sealed away in this dark realm, and so eventually they want to get revenge upon those who sealed them there by using dark magic or using special techniques like I mentioned before. And so you kind of sympathize a little bit with the horrible fate that they've endured for so long, kind of like you did with Broly and Paragus, but then you see like how being trapped there for so long has kind of twisted them to becoming what they really are in this story and trying to kill the very gods themselves, which I think would be a really cool way to take the Bojack character, which didn't have that much going for him as well as his crew other than, you know, the cool factor, and actually make them like fully fleshed out characters.
I liked Zanya.
I'm sure a lot of people like Zanya.
I wonder why. I still don't understand why he killed her, but whatever. I guess that just shows how messed up he was.
I think he was just trying to push her in the way to distract Gohan so that he could hit him with an attack, but obviously that failed. I still love the part, though, when Bojack gets punched right through the stomach by Gohan, and immediately afterwards he starts talking crap to Gohan. Well, oh, are you ready to die?
I don't want to talk about Dokkan again, Mike, and I hope this is the video because some people will probably get it. He has a thing on his card. It's basically called a lig skill, and it's called Coward. When was he ever a coward? He literally stood there and was just trying his damnedest to kill Gohan. So I don't get why he could be called coward, but I don't know.
But another thing I have thought about is his transformation, because interestingly, Bojack does have a transformation, but it's kind of underwhelming. So if they have him go with a transformation in this new version, I would like to see it be a little bit more visually impressive, other than him just being, you know, jacked and his hair turning like golden. I would like to see him do something a little more impressive with it, maybe even have like a new outfit or something, but, you know, maybe be able to unlock a new ability. Again, I'm always somebody who likes to see like a wide array of technique in Dragon Ball, so if you could bring that in, kind of like they did in the original film, I think that this could be a far better version of the character than what we got in the original Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, I mean, his design's really cool, like his regular design, I like a lot, but you're right, his powered up state is a little underwhelming. It's cool looking for sure. I mean, I kind of like the color green they used, but it is just kind of a generic, just I'm gonna beef myself up and not really change at all. But I did want to bring up, you know, in terms of just if this would actually happen or not, which I'm not sure if they would actually reboot Bojack as a character. I don't know if his popularity is really there. With someone like Cooler or Broly, yeah, like those are popular characters. Bojack, I don't think he gets enough love to really warrant a reboot, you know what I mean? I mean, he was a DLC character in Xenoverse 2, but I feel like that was just to throw another character to complete the roster, not necessarily trying to add a popular character that fans wanted, you know what I mean? So I don't know if the market's there for him, but I would like to see him rebooted, but well, we'll have to see.
Yeah, I feel like it's only something that would really happen if somehow he ends up being incredibly more popular than we expect, or if it ends up being like a passion project from Toriyama where he's like, I like this character's concept, but I feel like he wasn't executed very well. Let me try my hand at it. And again, like we said with Broly, you know, he did a really good job there, so I could very well see it being even better here.
Outstanding job. I mean, this isn't really what the video's about, but they could always do even like a little mini series manga and expand the past of that character. I don't know, something. That concept to him is cool. There's just not really anything done with it.
Very true. So you've heard our thoughts on Bojack and whether or not he should be rebooted. Let us know your own thoughts down below in the comments. Also, if you're new to this channel, then don't forget to subscribe and enable notifications so that you can see all of my videos right away when they come out. Also, don't forget to check out Dragon Ball Nation in the end screen and description, and make sure to stick around because there's a lot more to come in the future.
Yeah, and you better subscribe.